Hey there, I'm John Cox with Board Game Geek, and today I have Colin Young here, and we're looking at Museum by Holy Grail Games, but you're here with Luma Games, right?
That's right. So what we have here is Museum. This is a set collecting game writ large. A lot of this is all about you being your own curator of the museum, and the whole objective of the game is to have the best, biggest, most viable collection of antiquities as you can. So you'll notice that we've got 4 major areas here on the board that are all representative of different locations around the world from which these antiquities can be acquired. So whether you're working from the American Pacific or Europe, Africa, Middle East, or Asia, all of these are some kind of civilization collection that you can put into your museum.
Okay.
And the overall goal there is to try to figure out how to create sets. Now, the sets may be from the different civilizations themselves, but they may also be based around a certain theme, whether they are the domain of warfare or agriculture or things like that. And they all have to eventually end up in the corridors of your museum. And that's where the collecting component comes in. They all have to be orthogonally adjacent in some way throughout your museum, as you would see in a regular museum that you go to. A whole collection will go throughout several corridors, all interconnected.
Yeah.
So there's a number of things that can happen throughout the game, whether they're headlines, whether you have public opinion shifting, and those are cards that may be randomly distributed throughout the different decks. And all of those things go to impact the ebb and flow of what's available at any given time. But the basic mechanic of the game is twofold. To start a turn, you're going to draw one of the cards from one of the regions. That's a must. They're free to draw, but you have to take one into your hand. After that, you are going to try to put cards into your museum, and the way to do that is, let's say I have this theater and Temple of Apollo. And this is a value 3 card. The way in which you're going to try to get that into your museum is to exchange cards from your hand that are of equal value. So if I were to exchange another 3 card that's in my hand, or some combination, a 1 and 2, that would be equally valid. And those are simply going to be placed face down in my... Think of the face-up cards in front of you as your warehouse. They're still available to you, but they're not necessarily in your museum or in your active hand. And those could be purchased by other players. So you've made them slightly more vulnerable. And the way in which you could put in multiple cards. If you had a bunch of small ones and you spent a large card, you'll notice that they can go up to 5. And so as you're placing these cards in here, you're creating an effect where you're moving the cards around. I may be able to buy your cards. I may find something that maybe is worth spending a little extra currency to pull from your warehouse in order to get them in my museum. It costs a little extra to do so, but maybe that makes the most sense. So a lot of it is simply this constant shifting of cards where the antiquities are always the focus. Now, you may need a few things to help you with that, such as the experts. These experts here are going to be a variety of team members you can employ to give you a certain bonus towards your sets here. And these will cycle through gradually over time. So they may be able to help you with increasing your personal hand size from 7 to 10s, very strong ability, or even to give you bonuses if you're focusing on certain areas. And you may find that you're focusing on certain areas maybe because they're available, or maybe one of your end game objectives, which you've secretly taken at the beginning of the game, is encouraging you. Your patrons want your museum to do well, but your patrons would like your museum to do very well in a particular area.
They have their own
they have things they like, and they're
about.
giving you money, so let's just make sure
Makes
that they're
sense.
happy.
Gotta listen to them.
Exactly. So the game is a lot about presentation. It's Vincent Dutray art on 170 odd pieces of historically researched antiquities from all over the world, but it is a mechanic where it's very easy to teach, very easy to pick up. So we're excited to be working with Holy Grail Games to do that. And we think that the sheer scope of the cards will give a lot of people an opportunity to play a lot of different games using a very simple buy and sell kind of mechanic.
Overall framework.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, thanks for showing us this today.
Thank you so much for having us, John.